You know that feeling that there's something more to reality than what we can see? Well, today we're diving into a book called Rituals of a Happy Soul, and it makes a pretty big claim that the magic of the universe isn't some far-off thing, it's actually right inside you. So let's get into it and break down what that really means.
And right off the bat, the book hits you with this. It's a pretty bold statement, right? And this isn't just some feel-good quote. Nope. This is the central idea of the whole thing, that the stuff we think is impossible, it's really just waiting for us to believe in it hard enough to make it happen.
Which brings us to a question I think we've all asked ourselves at some point. Ever feel like you're just stuck? You know, like you're spinning your wheels? Maybe it's a job you hate, a tough relationship, or some health thing that just won't go away. Well, the book says that feeling is universal. And the reason for it? Well, it's probably not what you think. So, why do we feel so stuck? The book has a really fascinating diagnosis, and it has less to do with what's happening to you and a whole lot more to do with a lack of personal energy. So here's the book's core argument. The problem isn't your circumstances, it's your personal energy. Think about it like this. The author says the issue isn't the mountain in front of you, it's how much power you have to actually climb it. Our problems don't get smaller, they just feel bigger when we're running on empty. The book gives this great analogy, right? Imagine a car stuck in a muddy patch. It's easy to blame the mud, the bad terrain. But the author says, wait a minute, the real problem is the car's low power. A big, powerful 4x4 would just plow right through it. So the takeaway is pretty simple. Stop focusing on the mud in your life and start figuring out how to upgrade your own personal engine. Okay, so if the solution is just more energy, what are we even talking about? What does the author mean by that? Let's dig into the book's foundational belief that literally everything is energy. So here's where it gets really interesting. According to the author, everything around you is pure energy. And get this, that energy is constantly trying to communicate with you. So those weird little things, when an object breaks out of nowhere or your gadgets start acting up, the book says that's not random. It's a sign. It's the universe trying to get your attention.
And building on that, the book says that we're basically walking, talking energy transmitters. The whole idea here is that what we get back from life is a direct result of the kind of energy we're putting out there, second by second.
All right, so if we're all just transmitters, how do we crank up the power? This next part is all about the book's solution, how to harness all that universal power by plugging directly into the source. Now, the first step, according to the book, is to understand what we're made of. It breaks us down into 5 elements: fire, water, air, earth, and ether, which you can think of as space or spirit. The author claims that once we figure out where we're out of balance, we can start to actually manage our personal power. And this is exactly where the book gets its name. The author's very clear that when they say rituals, they don't mean anything religious. They're talking about practical, universal techniques, almost like a user manual for plugging into this endless source of energy. Okay, so what do these rituals actually look like in practice? Well, the book really zeroes in on 2 main tools for working with energy: symbols, which it calls yantras, and sounds, which are known as mantras. A yantra, as the book explains it, is way more than just a piece of art. It's a functional device, a spiritual machine. You can think of it like an antenna that's tuned to a very specific cosmic frequency, designed to pull in and channel certain energies right to you. And out of all the different symbols, the book really highlights this simple triangle as one of the most powerful ones. It's described as a gateway, a fundamental shape for moving energy either into our world or out of it. And apparently, which way the triangle points is everything. An upward-pointing triangle is supposed to pull down energy from the cosmos, good for things like spiritual growth or creative projects. But a downward-pointing one, that's said to pull energy up from the earth for more material stuff like money and career success. And along with these visual symbols, the book talks about their audio equivalent, mantras. These are universal sounds, like the famous Om, that are said to create their own powerful vibrations to attract different kinds of energy. I know, this all might sound a little out there, but the author doesn't want you to just take their word for it. They actually propose a super simple experiment so you can try to test this energy stuff out for yourself. The test is really straightforward. You just draw the triangle for what you want, up for spiritual goals, down for material ones, and you put it somewhere you'll see it every day. The book claims that this simple little act is enough to send a signal out to the universe that you're open for business. Okay, and here's where it gets kind of weird. The results the author tells you to look for aren't always what you'd think. The book actually says that a big rush of positive energy can cause physical disruptions, like your electronics going haywire or even mirrors cracking, as it pushes out all the old negative energy. The book is full of testimonials from people who swear they've seen real results. Take this user, for instance. They report getting a bunch of money back from a bad investment just days after trying the experiment, and they're convinced it was because of the yantra. So let's wrap this all up. The core message of this book is that getting unstuck has nothing to do with fighting the world around you. It's all about changing your internal power level by consciously managing your connection to the universe's energy. Because in the end, you attract what you are. And that kind of leaves us with this final big question. The book really challenges you to think. What if your biggest problems could be solved not by changing what's happening outside, but by changing your energy inside? What if the answers we're all looking for aren't out there at all, but are just a matter of tuning in to the right frequency? Definitely something to think about.